you end up losing good candidates because of these stupid questions. Because what ends up happening is you get people who are just been primed and trained they're so good at answering these questions because you're following all these questions which everybody on YouTube is recommending. Oh, ask these questions, and here are the recommended answers. And then as long as the answer those questions the way that YouTube or the internet says they should be answered, and you're gonna reward them and say, yeah, that was a good candidate. They answered the question correctly. What do you mean correctly? It's not. There's no correct answer to this. You are saying, can they do the job? It's not about how did they answer the question. You see what I'm saying? So, like I was saying, there are better ways of asking that question. And like I just mentioned one of them, walk me through your CV. Or, so tell me about your professional journey. You see, that's an even more insightful question. Tell me about your professional journey. Nobody's going to start talking about all these random things. It's a very direct question, very effective question, because it's going to force the candidate to talk about their professional journey, how their journey started, where they are now, because if that's what you want to ask, and some of the interviews, they're so free flowing, you don't even have to ask that question. You can literally just start by saying, all right, so it says there on your CV you're at this such and such company. Yeah, so talk to me about that. So what are you doing currently? See, it's a best way of asking rather than, oh, tell me about yourself. Man, I can talk about I'm married, I go to church, I'm an atheist, I don't go to church, I believe in Buddha, I'm gay. You can open up to so many things, and you can't penalize the person for giving you all that information. I know it's recommended not to do that, but it's your fault that you asked that question. It's not their fault that they're telling you about themselves. So it's just a stupid question. There's better ways to ask that question, and it's just all these people. And then this is the thing for you interviewers. Please do not penalize people based on how they answer this so broad, open-ended question, okay? And just because the internet says this is how you answer the question, well, what if I didn't go to the internet? Oh, you're gonna say, oh yeah, you didn't prepare. No, I'm answering the question based on what you've asked me. Tell me about yourself. Unless you're trying to tell me that there's ways that there's questions that you ask which you don't really mean to ask them that way, but you're testing how much that person has done research on how to answer interview, rather than so it's a test of how good people are at performing in interviews, rather than is that person the best person for the job. You see the difference? Yeah. So interviewers, just please do your job as well. So it's not just about the candidates. I think we need more videos like what I'm doing now to also criticize the interviewers. Interviewers need to do a better job of asking good questions rather than just these standard questions which the people used to ask 40 years ago when everything was about in manufacturing, cars or gold mines or whatever, and people still are stuck to those questions, and they still feel people have moved on. Okay, just ask what you want and you probably get the right answer that you want to hear, whether right or wrong, and that's where you can judge the candidate, whether they are good for the job or not. Okay, so yeah, so that's my second point. My first point was this is it's a dumb question to ask. Okay, usually this question is asked, and this is another important point. But this question usually is asked, or it keeps being promoted by all these very old-fashioned and rigid, hiring managers who they think, or organizations who have got prescribed questions. Question number one, and then they've got a checkbox. This is question number one, and they say, how did they answer the question about, tell me about yourself? And then they have to rate you on how you answer that question. Those are really bad interview skills, bro. I'm telling you. Number two, and if organizations out there doing this, man, that's probably not a good organization to be working for anyway. It just tells me they're very rigid and they're so backward looking. And then also, number two, these are things which are probably being pushed by all these, recruitment agents who who are not. They might claim that, oh yeah, I've done 2,000 interviews in my life, or screened candidates, 2,000 candidates, whatever. How many candidates they might claim that they have screened in their profession, and they have placed so many candidates in top positions and stuff, and they say, yeah, that question is I can tell you that question I will recommend that question, and you should always be prepared for that question. But guess what? Yes, fine, it might be true, but guess what? You are a recruitment agent. You are not the hiring manager. You're not the one who's going to be working with that person, okay? So just because somebody went through your stupid questions, including this question, right? And they answered it, and you were impressed, okay, based on the standard that you set for yourself, that this is how everybody should answer it. So you can literally memorize and rehearse that question, the answer to that question, right? And then you say, yeah, I've placed so many but there's no correlation between answering that question and the person being able to do the job or not being able to do the job. So this is what I'm saying. The hiring managers, they're not going to worry about, tell me about yourself. They're going to worry about the rest of the interviews. Like, okay, so what are you currently doing? Does that relate to what the job description that I want, that I'm recruiting for? Is there any relationship to that? What are the common things that you are doing? If there's not many things common, how are your skills transferable? Things. So let's talk about those things. No. All right, tell me about yourself. Man, it's so frustrating. But sometimes I know exactly the frustration that we all have as candidates. The interviewers have got more power, so sometimes, you just have to suck it up and prepare for that question. But at least I hope by hearing me here, you can sleep peacefully knowing that it's not the end of the world. There's some good managers out there who are not going to judge you or reward you or penalize you on how good you answered that. Tell me about yourself. And some of them are not going to even ask it the way that all these YouTubers make it look like they're going to ask you number one question. Tell me about yourself. It's modern interviewers, modern organizations, modern forward-looking organizations, they don't even ask that question anyway. Like I said, they will ask you in a different way. They will say, all right, so walk me through your CV. So, it will just come up as a conversation. So, so you've been at that company and this company recently, right? Yeah, okay, yeah. So talk me through it. What have you been doing at those companies as relates to this job? They are making it directly relevant so that we don't waste time here talking about, I like cake, I like chicken. No, can we just go straight? This is what good interviewers do, okay? And maybe at the end, if they really, really like you, that's when they might be like, all right then, so what do you do in your leisure time? Are you into sports, whatever, you like some, whatever. What do you do in your spare time? Those are things they might ask towards the end, because maybe at that point they really already like you and they already decided, and there's probably like some 5-10 minutes extra to waste, literally to waste, and they're like, man, okay, let's see, maybe there's a few extra things that we can extract from this guy, where else nobody wants to spend that precious time talking about, yeah, so tell us about, so can you as an interviewer, you need to be the one who needs to be directing the person to say, no, I want you to answer this, okay? Because we only have, most interviews last for an hour only, obviously, but so yeah, it's up to the interviewers. And interviewers, if you're listening to this, please, that old-fashioned question of tell me about yourself is so stupid. Don't ask that question. And well, if you ask it, do not please penalize people or reward people on how good or bad they answer that question. It should just be looked at as an icebreaker. You should ask exactly what you want. I had an argument on this with one of my colleagues. He still believes in that question. He's like, no, but he's one of those old-fashioned, people. I wouldn't want to work under him anyway, because he insists on, no, everybody should be able to answer that question. Otherwise, then why am I recruiting you? Well, my ability to do the job is not going to be based on how well I answer. Tell me about yourself, right? You're talking about some very technical, highly technical, skilled jobs here. Most jobs, okay. Some jobs, yeah. It's like even if it's like managerial, like team leading jobs, just asking me, tell me about yourself, man. Are you asking it honestly, or are you asking it as a trick question? But anyway, so that's my second point. Like, there's better ways to ask that question if you really want to ask it. So yeah, and then in this video, I also wanted to talk about some other stupid, I have to say, some other stupid, dumb questions, traditional questions, which YouTubers all over the internet or all over the YouTube want to keep propagating and want to keep pushing as if these are like end or be all questions. No, these questions don't always turn up. I want to at least give you a little bit of peace of mind when you're preparing for interviews. Don't stress about some of these questions, for example. So here's a few others, and remember, like I said, subscribe to my channel, like this video. I'm gonna be giving you a few more tips or debunking some of these other stupid questions or stupid advice that people give, and these standard answers. You'll be like, what? How am I gonna come up with that scenario? I'll break it down a bit more myself. So yeah, look out, watch for this space. I'm gonna be breaking this down a bit more. So here's a few other stupid so-called traditional questions that you should be scared or get super prepared for in an interview. Some of them just don't even show up, or they will show up in a different way. So there's better ways to prepare rather than just memorizing some of these questions. And so when you're preparing for interviews, some of these YouTubers, Facebook, whatever advice, don't be so scared like, oh my God, I wouldn't know how to answer that question. Relax, okay? So here's some of them. Here's a big one. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Okay. I probably need a whole video just to debunk this question as well. Personally, not just personally, but I know for sure the good organizations, the forward-looking organizations that I have interviewed for or have worked for, that they frown on that question. It's just so stupid and unfair to ask people, what are your weaknesses? What are your strengths? What are you trying to do? The candidate is there. You could end up switching off, denying a very capable candidate just by some of the stupid questions.